This 5 POA action figure line from Star Wars it's pretty much here to stay, and for me, I'm still not really that big of a fan of it. I like my action figures to actually have the action element, and for the past few years, I've been really disappointed with the presentation of these 5 POA figures. However, from the ones I got from the Rogue One movie, I'm actually very surprised at how they've amped up the quality of these things. Somehow they amped up the quality. Unfortunately, the price is a little higher, but we'll get to the pricing at a later date in the video. So, first off, what I want to do, I want to show off the first phase of the 5 POA figures, that being like the Darth Vader packaging when they were going to release Revenge of the Sith on 3D, even though they didn't. With these figures, you pretty much got swivel, 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 swivel. Everything's a swivel. Paint is okay. When I say okay, I mean some figures, like the Shock Trooper here, were actually painted fairly well, and the Shock Trooper I actually feel is a pretty impressive kind of background piece in your army. However, this Commander Cody is one of those unfortunate cases where the paint's just hideous. Now, there's some faces from these 5 POA figures that are absolutely revolting. Thankfully, I don't have any faced characters in the first line, so we don't have to have the displeasure of looking at those. However, you can see he's just missing paint everywhere. He's missing black elements, he's missing orange elements, gray elements. He's missing a lot. And that was a huge downside to these figures before. The second step of the 5 POA figures were, of course, the Star Wars Rebels cartoon. And they're a little bit of a step up. They still have these swivels at the neck, unfortunately. And the figures, while decent, while kind of getting up there in quality, some better paint. I've seen some atrocious Stormtroopers. And, of course, the articulation isn't any better, but, like, you can see this, almost like IG something. It's a Macquarie Concept IG-88 that they kind of painted up to look all cool and bounty hunter-y. Yeah, they've kind of amped it up a little bit, but not that much. I kind of consider these two to be very similar phases, and it's not really that much of a step up. However, enter 2015 with the Star Wars The Force Awakens movie. Did you hear about that movie? That's a movie that came out. And with their 5 POA figures, they decided to do a couple things differently. They decided to feature ball-jointed heads on every single figure, which I feel is a complete and utter benefit. And they decided to have these weird little pack-ins where you can take these weapons and you can build a bigger weapon, and they're really stupid, and I didn't even bother to get them out of storage because they're complete and utter trash. They're completely useless. They're not really anything that looks cool at all. They don't have much of a play feature. And I don't feel like I got my money's worth from these. Also, the paint on some of them, like General Hux, really good. Really like that Hux. However, the Stormtrooper, on the other hand, it's so-so. It's kind of sloppy. You can see the coloration of the plastic's kind of off. Same with the Rebels Stormtrooper, I noticed. But it's very odd how some figures in that line had really good paint and other figures are just kind of duds. Accessories were bare minimal on those. They didn't put a lot of effort into them, and honestly, they're kinda meh. However, I feel like we have reached a point where 5 POA is actually somewhat respectable. I just opened up my Rogue Friday haul a couple days ago, and from those figures that I opened, I'm very impressed with 3 of them. The crew member he's okay, the crew member's okay, but the Shore Trooper, I am quite impressed with. The Sabine, I am very impressed with. And most of all, I am very blown away by this K2SO. These figures, in my opinion, are worthy additions to my collection, especially the K2SO. The K2SO is especially a worthy addition to my collection. So, I want to talk about what the improvements are on these guys. So, of course, they have the ball-jointed heads, which is really nice. However, my least favorite out of all these is, unfortunately, the Shore Trooper. I love Shore Troopers, but Sabine did something nice where they actually sculpted her elbow to be bent, and that gives the figure character. And on the shelf, I like posability so I can give my figures character. And this Sabine, in my opinion, just from this simple pre-posing of the elbows, really grants the figure character. And also with the paint, comparing this Sabine to the old Sabine, of course they're different armor designs. However, you can see this one gets a lot more intricate details on the shoulders and on the helmet, and this one's just kind of left a little more bland and not as detailed. And also, this one has a removable helmet. Yeah, that kind of helps this one's case. But also, something I was very impressed with was the gimmicky accessory it was included with. So it came with this very nice working zip line. And as you can see, it's really long. I'd say it's over a foot long. And for kids, this would work perfectly. And even for adults, adult collectors, I can see zip lines being very useful for certain poses and displays. That's why I like zipline accessories, and I think this one was executed perfectly. She holds it fine, she can zip on it great, and I absolutely love that accessory. With the Stormtrooper, I feel like the improvements are just the paint. The paint is absolutely beautiful on this figure. This is what I expect from a Hasbro Star Wars action figure. This is beautiful. This is truly a beautiful figure, and I just wish he had the pre-posed arms like Sabine did, so you can at least have him sorta with two hands, because if his elbows were bent, you could have him kind of, you could give him some different positions. You could give him, normal standing position. If it was bent, you could have him shooting. You could put one arm up and then have it like this and act like he's commanding. I may get a second one of this and actually cut his elbows off and reposition them to have that look. It might work out okay, or I might ruin my other Stormtrooper. I will decide what I want to do with that, but yeah, I really want to do that because I feel like the pre-posing is something that is really beneficial to these 5POA figures. Speaking of the pre-posing, I feel like my only gripe with this K2SO is that he could probably be pre-posed a little bit more. I don't like his static, straight arms. They're just too straight. Because other than that, and other than the fact that he really doesn't have ankle articulation, this is a pretty posable bot. He's got ball-jointed shoulders, which means he can actually move his arms out, which is pretty much a first for this line, and that's absolutely fantastic. And you can see why I want the pre-posing on the arms, because it just looks really weird that way. If they were slightly bent, it would look a lot more natural. Ball joints at the legs, which allows for a lot of motion. I understand why they didn't give him knee articulation, because you can see right through his knee. I think they could have given him ankle articulation, though, because that would really benefit, say, pre-posed arms, ankle articulation. Look at that pose. That's a pretty good pose right there. This, if he just had a couple of those things, would be a very posable figure. Unfortunately, if you leave the arms kind of outward, they're a little loose, but they get tighter again. But this is the thing that really impressed me, the head articulation. So it's on a ball joint, right? I was talking about how they gave him ball joints, but it's on a double ball joint. So it can actually do this, it can go unts, it can do that. He can, bring it around town. He can do all that cool stuff, and also the paint. I cannot stress enough how fantastic the paint is on this K2. Absolutely love it. So, 5POA then. It's been a ride. It's been a ride. This guy's actually 6POA. It's an experience, I'd say. I do like that they're incorporating ball joints more. They could have incorporated them on that guy, but they didn't. So I'm happy they're doing more ball joints. I'm happy they're doing more paint. And I'm happy they're doing more really cool accessories like K2's nice, Rico from Just Cause zipline kind of thing. That's pretty cool. You can clip it on his arm, and then, he can go take out, the Empire if you want. See, look at that. He literally took out the Empire. Well, anyways, guys, that has been my video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my Facebook page if you have a chance. Also, check out my Instagram. Have yet to put it in my video outro, but it will be there soon. Anyways, guys, that's it. I'm sorry I haven't been making a lot of videos recently. I haven't been feeling like it. Toodles, guys!